And I'm back. So here we are. It's been a while, probably a few months at this point. For those of you who follow me, you know there's been some ups and downs, a lot of stuff been going on. First 7 episodes we did of this podcast were awesome, but some life stuff, and then the Miserables album coming out, plus us already trying to write a new album. Keeping up with the every week pace was a little bit too much. My original plan was actually to do every other week. I thought maybe I could pull off every week, but my feeling was that I was sacrificing, potentially the quality of episodes. If I kept that up, I would start having to, rush through them, which I didn't want to do. So I'm switching this up. We're going to do this every other week now. That'll give me a little bit more time to spend with each episode, spend getting to know, the people that I'm chatting with, because that's definitely something that I like doing. Obviously there's a lot of musicians on here, so it means listening to a lot of music. It'll let me do that, at a more reasonable pace for everything that's going on. One big thing I've got going on that I'll just talk about because, I've had a pretty good experience with this the last few days. I'm moving for the first time in over 3 years. I'm staying in Chicago, but just leaving the apartment that I live in. I've lived in my current place for longer than I've lived anywhere in my adult life. So it's a little bit sad in a way, but I've just got too much space for me, and with some things coming up, I'm getting rid of my car, and I have a garage. I'm not going to need a garage anymore, and that alone is, $150 a month premium around here. It's just time to scale down. So I've been looking at new places and talking to my landlord about what to do, and I gotta say, man, it's awesome when you have people to work with who respect you just as a person and who treat you like a person. My landlords they're the best landlords I've ever had, and really nice guys. It's a father-son operation. I mean, through all this, they've been great. They've helped me find a new tenant for my apartment. They're, taking it easy on me on, when I can move out and all that kind of stuff. So it's just been a really great experience to have a landlord who doesn't treat me like some sort of second-class citizen. So it does kind of give you a little bit of faith that, not everybody out there that, you're kind of indebted to is just going to be an asshole all the time. So it's been a great experience. I doubt those guys listen, but, I've said thank you to them many times personally. Also, aside from life stuff, next week, the Miserables are going to launch something new. We're calling it the Miserables Undercover. The basic idea is that we're going to put out a new cover song on alternate weeks from when I release podcast episodes. We've been recording covers since day one in this band. Dave, Adam, and myself have done covers for a long time together. And these ones we're having a lot of fun with. It's a great extension of, kind of what we've already done before. It took me learning some engineering skills, which has been pretty interesting, so that we can record, different parts independently without Adam having to be there all the time. Because if, you got to get 4 dudes in a room almost, a few days a week, every week to do one of these, it would be too much. So this way, we can go in, me and Dave, we can record drums. I can go in and record all my guitar parts and my vocals by myself. Adam can come in, do his parts when he needs to do them. We're also bringing in some friends to do some of these. On the first one, we're going to have Devin doing some backing vocals. We have some other people that are going to be coming in, and I'm hoping to keep that up because I think that's one of the most fun things to do is to just play music, dude, with your friends. And so bringing people in is great, and hopefully we'll be able to do a lot of that through this. Etch is doing the artwork for these, and I mean, what he's come up with is just amazing. I'm always amazed at what he brings to the table, but this stuff is awesome. And unfortunately, our initial thing is we're doing this digital only. It's going to be available on iTunes. It's going to be available on YouTube and SoundCloud and Bandcamp and everywhere all of our other stuff is available. But we can't really, put out a physical release every 2 weeks. It's just going to be digital. But hopefully we can find a way to get some form of prints of this artwork, because I think when you guys see it, you're going to be just blown away by what Etch has come up with. If anyone has suggestions for tunes for us to do, we'd love to hear that too. You can tweet it at me, whatever, message me, and give us some feedback on what you think as this goes on. So, like I said, it'll be every other week on alternating weeks from the podcast. So hopefully that means we're releasing about 25, 26 songs a year, which would be pretty cool. Let's get to the podcast. A few weeks back, we played a show with these guys on a Monday night with our buddies in All Eyes West of Bottle Kids. And Monday nights are tough, but there were some people there. It was at Township here in Chicago, and these guys were awesome. I'd never seen them before live. I'd heard of them. I'd heard a couple of their tunes, but I listened to a bunch of their stuff the next day. I was really impressed with their whole kind of show in terms of what they do. It was interesting to find out that their background is actually more in the ska realm than what Broadcaster is. So I think it's really cool that they kind of took the task of trying something new, and I think they did a really great job with it. So let's get to it. This is my chat with Broadcaster. Try and be prepared for everybody, so everybody's awake.
Yeah, thank you.
So you had a Bloody Mary for Jeff, ready?
Dude, I love on Facebook every day.
Every day. Bloody Mary and a Les Paul.
It'll be like a Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Bloody Marys. All right, let's do it.
Like a grilled cheese or something.
After last weekend hanging out with those dudes, I probably could have used a Bloody Mary. Yeah. We raged pretty hard. It was like they did the Dead Ending show.
Yeah.
And then they did All Eyes West the next day with Braid. Oh, man. I was at Underbar both nights.
Rough nights. Or probably fun nights, rough mornings.
It was a lot of fun, very rough morning and afternoon and evening until I had a couple more beers in my system to just cover it up.
Yeah.
So you guys are all from New York. If we can kind of run through each of you guys, just introduce yourself, what you do in the band really quick.
My name is Vito. I am the drummer.
I'm Tom. I play bass.
And I'm Jesse. I play guitar and sing.
Okay, great. And so when did you guys get into music as kids? And, take it one at a time, whoever wants to go first. Like, what got you into playing music, and what ultimately got you into the kind of music that you guys are doing now?
Oh, geez. Well, originally Michael Jackson when I was like 4
Really?
years old.
All
Yeah, I
right.
have pictures of me.
At least you're honest.
Dressed up like him. No, but I'd say
From last year.
yeah. Well, I guess in it was like 5th grade. It was a long time ago. Some friends of mine, these 3 brothers that I grew up with, we started a band, and I originally sang and played keyboard in. And but for one song, me and the drummer would switch places, and it just sounded much better that way. So I eventually got a drum kit, and that's what got me playing drums. Been doing that ever since.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think my cousin played guitar, and I thought it was cool, so I wanted to play bass. And I really liked how Fender P basses looked, so I really wanted a P bass.
Uh-huh.
And I bought a bass. I got a bass for Christmas or something, and I didn't really listen to music at that point. I had a few records, but now when I was in high school, my friend that I met on the bus wanted to start a punk band, and he really liked Pennywise and Rancid, and I had no idea what any of that was. And I remember he gave me Rancid 2000, and I loved that record. And
plus if you like bass,
and the bass, like I didn't realize like what you could like what bass was. Like that record is my like what I think of like punk rock bass is.
Yeah.
Like,
do you have a favorite tune on that record? That's one of my favorites too.
I mean,
personally.
I love Axiom. I think the Axiom bass solo is way better than the Maxwell Murder one, and no one knows about it. Like, I feel like that record is really underrated. But I love like Young Al Capone. The bass line on that is great, and like Not to Regret. That whole record is great. But so he started a band. He was like, "Do you want to be in this band because you like punk music or because you want to play bass?" And I was like, "I just want to be in a band," and kind of snowballed from there, and then ended up in a ton of bands, and we were all in other bands, and we were all in ska bands actually, and we were the members that were left over after everyone else kind of didn't really want to do it anymore.
Got ya.
So.
Got it. Jesse?
I actually started off playing drums originally. I started playing drums in school, probably like 4th grade or so, and I don't know, just always liked music as a kid. My parents were always playing it in the house. And then I think I first got into like punk music. I have an older brother who, the kid that he was best friends with that lived around the block from us, had all these cassettes. I don't know where he got them or how, but
well, when
they
people
gave me,
used to like go to the record store and buy cassette tapes and
but
CDs.
he gave me a Dookie, the Green Day on cassette, probably, I don't know, when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and from then on I was just turned on to it, and the more I could get my hands on, the better.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So I guess you kind of highlighted how you guys ended up together.
Yeah.
You guys were in a bunch of bands and knew
Yeah.
each other.
I recorded Jesse's old ska band when, what were you, like 16, 15? And that was the first time I met him, and like
we
I remember,
didn't see each other for a few years.
And, like I remember a couple years after that, he posted something on like AIM. This is how far that's going back. And he was like,
Old school.
he was like, I want to start a band that sounds like the Get Up Kids, and I always had that in the back of my mind. I was like, I want to start a band with Jesse, and we tried it once, like a couple years before we ended up doing Broadcaster, and they had like a couple of practices, but it just didn't really
just fell by the wayside.
And then their band, which was called Royal City Riot, was like what kind of band was it? Like traditional ska reggae band.
Slackers kind of.
They weren't really going to tour anymore, so that's when we kind of made this real priority.
Project,
Yeah.
That's cool. You guys all came from like a ska punk background. I totally didn't pick up on that last night at all.
Yeah.
That didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah,
That's
well,
pretty cool.
it was funny too because we all, ended up especially Vito. Like he's like he's only a couple years older than me, but he's a few years older than Jesse, and he was actually around like when a lot of this music was like really popular. Like there's so much stuff like Dramarama. Like I'd never heard of them before. Like you told us about them, and there's so many bands and like there's actually even people just comparing us to bands, like, and then I go check them out, and I'm like, this is really cool. Like, I'm trying to think of one in particular, maybe Superchunk actually. Like, I don't know if I really ever listened to Superchunk before people started comparing us to them, and so it just kind of like we liked a lot of the music that we.
That's cool though, because you kind of stepped out of your element and went and tried something different, which is kind you know, it's hard to do. Actually, I know I find it hard to do. So I actually think that's pretty cool. Like, what kind of do you guys have influences for this band that you kind of drew from, or?
Yeah, I mean, when we originally started it, we just kind of wanted to make like a rock record, you know. But I guess after we first put out a release, we started getting like the 90s comparisons, and we weren't even trying to do that. It was just like, writing whatever we write, and like Tom said, then we started getting like comparisons to those bands, and I guess then when that happens, you start digging deeper into all those bands' catalogs, and then
I feel like
it
kind of
rub off on you
like it
after
subconsciously influences your like
exactly
songwriting. Like,
absolutely.
But I mean, like I vote like Weezer is also like one of my favorite bands. That's why I use a Big Muff because of like Pinkerton.
Yeah.
And like when we started this band, I was like, all
we
right,
got good
yeah.
similar tastes.
Yeah,
in records right here.
I was like,
on.
I'm using a Big Muff in this band. Like I'm just gonna have it on all the time, and that's gonna be it. Like and
That's
like
our first record. We both used it on the
yeah,
entire thing.
yeah. Our first record, every guitar or bass track is through a Big Muff. Like
Nice.
and like yeah.
That album, I just love the recording style on that album. It's so raw.
Yeah, that was we were only a band for a month when we put that out. We wrote, recorded, and put that record out like a month after we started. And we had another drummer originally. My friend Dan played drums for us for like 2 practices, but then he couldn't really do it anymore. So we got Vito. So Vito was probably only playing those songs for like 3 weeks before we recorded them, if that.
I didn't even really know
Yeah.
all the songs.
Yeah.
In the studio. Just kind of felt them out.
And we just recorded that record live in our studio. Actually, it wasn't even our studio yet at that point. We rented it out from my friend, and we just recorded that all in probably a couple of days, like, and put it up online for free. Like,
Yeah.
I think I did like 10 drum tracks in one day.
yeah.
And it was blazing hot.
That's cool. And you guys put it out for free. We just
Yeah.
did the same thing with
Yeah.
our record. It's our first record. So,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
what-
how did you
yeah.
guys feel about doing that? And like, what did you guys experience from doing it? I'm always curious to kind of see what bands are doing now when they start.
Yeah, I mean, like we're pretty good friends with all the bomb music industry guys, you know, and their whole thing is like they put everything up for free online, and we were like, like might as well just put it up for free, like make more people listen to it, like, and that's what
When
we
you
were more
haven't played a
concerned
show
about.
yet, no one knows you. We're like, no one's gonna pay for this. So might as well just
No,
put it up
I
for
think it's
free.
interesting because you see some bands do that.
Yeah.
They'll like put it up, you know, and they'll charge something as the first record.
Right.
And I always
Yeah.
think it's kind of weird because I'm like, I mean, I think back to when I was a kid starting out. It's
Yeah.
like I just copy cassettes or burn CDs
Exactly,
and give them
yeah.
to people.
Yeah.
And it's like you're giving it out for free. And I think
Yeah.
like some people kind of forgot for a little while that like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we used to give our stuff away for free, and that's how people got to know who our band
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
Like we didn't sit there asking them for you know $10 to download
Yeah.
a record or something like
Like
that.
I think it's cool, like on Bandcamp though, how you can like do the name your own price, so
Yeah.
it can be free, but
That's
people
what
can
we
also
did.
yeah,
It's
because
like it's zero. Most
yeah.
people take it for zero, but we do get a couple
sometimes
bucks
you
here.
get like my other band did that, and you know we ended up like over the course of a year, like we got like you know $150
Yeah,
like, from
yeah.
and it was cool. Like we weren't expecting anything, so
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, I mean, at least it helps out a little
Yeah,
bit.
exactly,
Every
yeah.
little bit helps when you're starting out. So you guys are touring right now. You guys have done some touring recently. I mean, I think we're all probably pretty similar in age. How do you guys balance it right now? Like, what do you guys do during the day? What do you do when you're not on the road?
Well, I was really the only one that had like a full-time job that I really couldn't like step away from. Like, and last year we ended up touring. Like, we did like 3 separate tours that it probably equated to about a month of touring, or maybe a little more. But like we booked this tour and the European tour, and I was like, all right, I'm going to have to quit my job.
Yeah.
But then they did the favor of laying me off like a couple months ago. So
happened to
now,
me.
I collect unemployment and tour. So
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
yeah, so that
It's
was
the on the dole tour.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and I'm so happy to be out because I've been going crazy like the last because I didn't want to like get a job and then have to quit it in like 2 weeks or like 3 weeks to go on tour.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
I'm just like glad to like be out doing things. Like I mean, like we have the recording studio, and I do like I repair guitars and stuff. So
Okay.
I do some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then what about you guys?
I actually work in an accounting office.
Nice. Oh, okay. Great,
Yeah.
great. Obviously not
And
tax accountants if you're gone right now.
Yeah, actually.
Oh,
they are.
really?
And CPAs.
Oh, my. Oh,
But,
my.
yeah, they're probably going nuts today.
Yeah, I was going to say they probably are.
Yeah, they could probably use my help.
Sorry, guys.
But yeah, they're really flexible with me. It's not any kind of real money, but
Oh, that's
they
good.
let me
though.
take off for a month and a half to tour, so that's
That's
nice.
great. That's great.
And I'm one of those who's probably have had like 15 jobs in the last
Yeah.
like 4 years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, never usually have something where I can come and go as I please. So kind of work for 5 months, go on tour,
Yeah.
find something else. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I was working at a deli right before we left here.
Yeah.
And done that, construction, warehouse work, pretty much whatever I can
Yeah.
get when we get home.
Yeah, I know a lot of dudes that do construction.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying, like-
It's great money, and a lot of
Yeah.
times you can do that per project. So
You just got to make
come
sure you
work
don't cut
home.
any fingers off.
Yeah. No, I was talking to
Dampen the music. career.
Yeah.
yeah, I was talking to Miguel from All Eyes West last night about the same thing. It's like I do IT stuff, so like I'm trying to find places that are like, okay, well you can work remote.
Right.
It's
On the road.
because if I can get an internet connection,
Yeah.
I can do everything I need to do. It's not like I'm really working in an office for a reason. You know what I mean? It's just a space for me to sit is all it is. So, so you guys just put out a new record. How many releases do you guys have now?
2 full lengths and 2 EPs.
Okay.
But I guess
But we have like
the first full length was just the digital thing.
Yeah,
for
and
free.
so was the first EP.
Yeah, so
Yep.
we did those 2 for free, then put out a 7-inch last year. Right? Last year? Year before?
Yeah, it was 2012.
On Jumpstart,
Yeah.
and then we just did the new full length like 2 weeks ago on Jumpstart.
Cool. And you guys said you're recording the 7-inch. We can't say who that's with yet, but that's a project for next year, or not 7-inch. I'm sorry, a split.
We have 2 splits in the works. I
Okay.
think one's actually getting announced tomorrow, hopefully.
Okay.
And the other one,
By the time this is up, then
right,
it'll be
exactly,
announced.
yeah. And sometime within the next month or 2, probably for the other one.
Okay.
But they should both be cool projects. So.
And this stuff are you working with Jumpstart on all this, or is this just kind of still in the works of who you're
Those
doing
are
stuff with?
both 2 different labels, and they're actually 2 newer ones, both of them. So I guess that's why we can't announce it. I don't know how many releases either of them have, or if any for the one, but yeah, I don't know.
So you're on tour for 7 weeks. I'm assuming that I think I heard this last night. You guys are playing Fest this year, so you're probably doing the circle to get down there. Now, have you guys done a tour this long any time in the last few years?
Yeah, we did.
You guys did.
Yeah, and even last year we went out with All Eyes West from Chicago, and I guess that was 2.5 weeks or so.
It was actually closer to 3.5 weeks.
Yeah,
so
we went to the West Coast, so probably about the same as that.
And are you guys going to the West Coast this time?
No, this time it's just from New York as far as Minneapolis, and then down through the South and East Coast a little bit, and then we're not going directly down to Fest. We're ending around Jersey, because then we're going to go down to Fest with the guys from Jumpstart. So
Oh, okay.
so we'll head
Got
down
it.
They're
from
based
there
in
with
Philly.
them. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I have my ticket for Fest, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make it down this year. I'm kind of
that's a
bummed out.
bummer.
Last year was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Fest is always a good time.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
what I remember,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, by the I'll just tell a story just because it's funny, dude. We showed up there and we raced down there.
Yeah.
We drove straight through, and we wanted to get there in time to check in the day before.
Yeah.
And so we got there literally right before they closed the line. We were the last people that they let in line
That's
to check in
crazy.
early. We finish, we get to our hotel, and we see the signs that they have posted around about Fest, oh, it's $2 PBRs and
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
We're yes. Our bar tab just went down. We stayed at that, God, what's the name of the hotel? It's not close to where Fest is. It's the Paramount or the something or other.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but anyway,
Yeah.
we show up there and they have a sign in their lobby that's $1 PBR tall boys. Let's just say between the 4 of us that went, they didn't have any more $1 PBR tall boys
There
by
you
the
go.
time the night was over.
Mission accomplished.
So
Yeah.
we started it off right. So just give me an idea of in terms of touring, what do you guys do? Do you guys have a booking agent? How do you feel about, you guys have a history playing music? How do you feel about touring now compared to touring 10 years ago? Is it different? Is it the same? How do you go about doing it? All that kind of stuff.
Jesse was,
I
Jesse
guess,
was 13
yeah.
10 years ago.
I'm pretty lucky that the whole time I've been playing in touring bands that I've had the internet at my fingertips.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
So,
fair enough.
I guess I've been
Did you
touring
ever do
now.
any touring before?
Not pre-internet,
Not really,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think when MySpace first came out, that's
Uh-huh.
when I first started touring, and that was a game changer right there.
Yeah.
MySpace, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially having a band profile and just being able to
Communicate
interact
with
that
people,
easily
yeah,
with bands,
that are-
yeah.
Miles and miles away.
Yeah, you hear about the dudes who did it in the early '90s,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Those
Yeah,
indie tours
that's
that
what we're
Green
always-
Day and
yeah.
Yeah.
guys like
Yeah.
that would do, and you just wonder how they actually pulled that stuff off.
Yeah, that's what
like-
every day we're every bands tour before the internet and cell phones and
Yeah.
You didn't know a show was
yeah.
canceled until you
GPS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you hear
Yeah.
those stories.
Yeah.
People would just show up and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, the doors are closed on the club."
Yeah.
we just didn't know. Nobody told us.
Yeah.
Nobody called or anything like that. Like it's just
Yeah, you
hard to
gotta find a
imagine
payphone,
that.
yeah.
It's hard to imagine. And even when you're on the road, like
Right.
everybody has a cell phone now.
Yeah.
I can't imagine like, oh
Yeah.
my God, like even the first big tour I did was in 2002, and I had a cell phone at that time.
Yeah.
It's like, so I could at least get in touch with people. But
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine like
Yeah.
if you were on the road, like I did 3 months at that time, I would have lost my head. I think.
Yeah.
I would have just been like, oh my God, I can't call anybody. Like,
Yeah.
it's got to be crazy, man. In terms of communicating with fans and communicating with people and trying to get your music out there, like what kind of tools are you guys using? What are you doing?
I guess social networking is the easiest one.
A lot of Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, posting stupid pictures, hoping
Yeah.
that people will look at them. Yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess
that's the big thing nowadays.
Yeah.
is
Well,
Instagram for sure.
it's funny too that most bands don't even have normal websites anymore.
Yeah.
You just have
Yeah.
your Facebook
I
page
feel
because-
like I put up a website for us, and I feel like I'm way outdated now.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I still enjoy them because you can get all the information in one place. But
but you guys have Tumblr, and
Yeah,
it's
we have
kind
a
of set up
Tumblr,
like a
yeah.
regular website at this
yeah,
point. Like,
we just I think we only update that maybe once a year. But
well,
yeah, I don't know.
writing and playing is more
Yeah.
important than
Yeah,
doing that stuff.
exactly.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But everybody's got to do it now. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's what you hear about. Like, oh, you gotta post this and you gotta post
Yeah.
that, and like I'm just always curious to hear how bands are doing it now because I
Yeah.
feel like that's something that's changed.
I feel
lot
like
over
yeah,
the years.
like and it changes like so fast now. I feel like
Yeah.
no one really knows exactly what to do or like what's the best way to like.
I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah, exactly.
I was listening to something. I can't remember who was talking about it, but they were saying that exactly. Like,
Yeah.
like even the labels at some point had to kind of admit, like,
Yeah.
we don't really know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
thought we knew what we
Yeah.
were doing, and we just don't really.
Yeah.
know
That's why
what
they're
we're doing
hiring
anymore.
like 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
For social net, because they're hip to all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't even know it does it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
and then it's like, at least for me, the way I see like online culture is just so much different because you
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
like somebody just posted something today about
Yeah.
that the guy who did the Rebecca Black video
Oh, yeah.
did some new video
It's like about
of
Chinese food or
yeah,
something?
girls
Yeah.
singing
Yeah.
about Chinese food, and it's got all these like really terrible Chinese and Asian American, or I should say Asian stereotypes in it,
Right.
and it's getting like millions of views.
Of course, yeah.
Right, and it's like the worst song
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
It doesn't add any value to culture
Yeah.
at all, and that's what's getting a ton of views. Like, I think it's like I just don't even know. Like,
Yeah, like how things like just blow up
I
like
guess
this.
auto-tune and racism is the way to go.
yeah, apparently, or
We're doing it
swinging
wrong.
from a
Yeah.
ball,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
Miley did. Like, I mean, stuff like that is just like I can't fathom it. Like, it baffles me to think like, what if Nirvana existed right now?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Would that
Yeah.
even have happened
Yeah.
in this kind of environment
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
that would have
just get swallowed
broken
up, I
through?
think.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think it would even make a ripple.
Like, they would have posted it on their Facebook page, and a
Yeah.
couple of friends would have checked it out and been like, "Oh, it's all right."
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like impossible to imagine them
Yeah.
being a band like in today's world.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it
Well, I will say that's probably the one benefit of touring before the internet. If people wanted to hear your band, they were coming
They
out
had
to
to
the
go
show.
see it, yeah.
to come out
They're
to
not
the
going to
show,
sit there and
absolutely.
stream your album and
Yeah.
go, you know what, it's not worth.
That was the appeal of going to
$5.
shows back in the day too.
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
You know,
you
if
could
a touring
find out
band
about
came
somebody
around,
new.
you didn't, you can go online and learn all about them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a band from Florida coming. Let's check them out.
Yeah.
You know, and they would sound different. They would look different. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's like one downside is it kind of homogenized the culture a lot. Having the internet,
Yeah.
because like there would be like regional sounds. There would be a
Absolutely.
Northeast sound, a West Coast sound.
Yeah.
Even like in New York, like different parts of New York, like different
Yeah.
bands would sound different.
Well, you
So-
think about all the scenes that grew up. I mean, we
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
had the Detroit scene.
Yeah.
Chicago's notorious for having, the family
Right.
the
Yeah.
honor system and Lawrence Arms, Al
Right.
Country, all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
dudes were kind
Yeah.
of a family around here. The West Coast thing, obviously, everybody, East Bay obviously was huge in the 90s, so you had that kind of regional thing. I mean, I definitely do feel like it, like you said, like, I don't know if it's homogenized, but it's like different sounds now
Right.
crop up
yeah,
Right.
and-
Right.
everywhere.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
Yeah.
hey, let's start a West Coast sounding band.
yeah,
Yeah.
These are our influences.
Yeah.
We can go download whatever we want.
Exactly. We can listen to all of it because that's the other thing too. You can listen to all of it. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
when I was growing up, it was like we had a little local punk rock club.
Yeah.
And that's where everybody went, and those were the CDs you got, right? Everybody's giving you their CD or whatnot, or like, you go to the local, like Suicide Machines were the big ones at the time, so you go see them, and Mustard Plug would come through all the time, so we go see them, and it's like those are the influences that you ended up having just because
that's what was
they were all present.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and like I feel like that was kind of like good too, because it like kind of focused on like not sure what I'm trying to say. Like, I guess it was just like, it wasn't a million, like, I feel like people are more impatient now because there's so many, like, not so good bands that it's, like, so easy to do it, and, like, it's so easy to tour and everything now that, like, so many people are doing it, so people kind of get, like, jaded and broken down more quickly and aren't interested in hearing anything new because...
There's a lot of noise. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise, and I think it's great that a lot of people are doing it. I think it just becomes a lot harder. Like I look at our stats, right?
Yeah.
And I see people like all over the place.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't have a lot.
Yeah.
But they're spread so far all over the place. Whereas I feel like if it was a long time ago or it was in the 90s, it was like I focused on such a small geographic area. That if you held those local shows, it's like, okay, we're the local band.
Yeah.
We got our local crew, that kind of thing. And now it's like you put it up and suddenly you have these people everywhere.
And it's like you can roll into a different town and like there would be the big local band who drew like huge numbers locally. I feel like that's kind of died down quite a bit.
Definitely a little bit gone by the wayside. I mean, you go to shows out here and it's still like, I definitely feel like one thing going on right now is like, all the bands that have been around for 20 or 30 years can do great. Bands that have even been around for 10 years don't do quite nearly as well anymore. And it's a lot harder for them to play bigger venues. And you see even around here, you see these bands that I would think would be playing like 5,000 to 10,000 seaters, suddenly scaling back to 1,000 or less venues. Now they can sell that out is why they're doing it. I think the dynamic of like going to shows has just changed so drastically.
It's strange too, because I feel like 10 years ago you would build up a local following, then branch it out to regional, and then start touring. Whereas now, I feel like if you want to gain a following, you're touring right away.
Absolutely.
But like, unfortunately, most places you can't stick around and just gain hundreds of fans in your hometown anymore. So
we've been having that same discussion in our band. Like, do we just focus on building a local following? But I feel like it's like. I feel like we used to be able to play at least once a month locally, and that was okay. Now it's like not okay. It's really hard to do that, and like your core people just don't go to shows that much anymore. So like you guys said, I think that's what you see is like a lot of bands are like, okay, well, we got to go play. I think Jumpstart Records even has a thing on their website where they're like, if you're not playing 80
like 100 shows a year,
don't bother talking to us.
Which is funny, because when they first started talking to us, we'd probably play like 20 shows. I'm
going to send an email. I think that's absolutely true, though. You kind of see bands that really want to do it.
Exactly.
I think hopping on the road much earlier now. I think everybody has an easier time touring. I think tours are definitely a little more costly, maybe.
Than
they used to be because
we were talking about that. Like you still charge like $5 or $10 for a show, and you still charge $10 for a record, $10 for a shirt, which is the same as it was 10 years ago.
But the price,
10 years ago, gas was $2 less a gallon than it is now, or even more.
Absolutely. And plus, at least in my experience, it seems like, what I've talked to with a lot of dudes is like, the guarantees just aren't as high as they used to be, or as easy to come by if you can get one. It used to be at least you could get a guarantee from a club for like gas money, like $50 or something.
Exactly. And if you got $50, you'd be fine.
Exactly. Well, you got to the next show. That was the important thing.
Right? Now if you get $50, it's like, oh, that's like less than a half a tank, right? Let's cross our fingers.
Especially if you're driving a van. Man.
Exactly.
That stuff's not cheap. Man. And I just, God, and it just seems like doing it now, you have to do that. Like, you got to hit the road and you got to play shows regionally as much as possible. Like that's what we're trying to do. I was telling you about that. Like we're trying to play regionally as much as you can. It sounds like you guys have done some of that
like
too,
doing like East Coast and stuff like I feel like it's just like the people aren't there anymore really to have like I mean I'm sure there are some places
and plus
that have,
I think I'm kind of guilty of it too. Like locally, I mean, if Alkaline Trio or the Lawrence Arms come through, this is a pretty damn good chance I'm going to the show. Right? And they kind of have the scene.
Right.
Right. I mean, not that it's their fault or anything. I'm not trying to say that. It's just like I think like that's what people wait for. They wait for that band to come through.
Exactly.
And then because those shows are now more costly than they used to be. It's kind of expensive. Then here we have Riot Fest too, and it's like that's kind of expensive to go to. And plus you get that's like the festival for all the old bands. I feel like. And don't get me wrong, I'm guilty. I like it. I like going to it, but it's like Descendants are playing and like stuff from like those are your Iggy. Like it just seems like it's a lot different dynamic. So that's cool though. So, do you guys got anything that you want to add?
Not really. We're all very, very socially awkward. Like when we went on tour with All Eyes West, we were in the van and for like 4 days. Like when we're on tour, we don't really like talk. We just like sit there, like listen to music and drive. Like we're like all very laid back. And like we were on tour and like at like 3 or 4 days into the tour, Jeff D just goes, "You guys really need to start talking."
At least all he said was talking. Oh my god, there's that whole misconception too. Like whenever people are like, "You go on the road? What's that like?" You guys must like party all the time. I'm like, let me tell you about our parties, dude. It involves a really shitty hotel room, a case of PBR, no girls.
And eating a lot of eating a lot of pizza and and then waking up.
Usually you put on some crappy TV or something. Like this is what rock and roll lifestyle is.
And then you get to a venue and sit in your van for 5 hours waiting for the promoter to get there,
or just somebody to open the door.
So you go in there and use the bathroom or plug in your phone.
Wake up on somebody's floor covered in cat hair.
Oh god,
this is the life.
Oh my god, I love that stuff. It's like, no, it's really not what you did. I think I just want to start lying to people and just be like, dude,
I'm like
crazy
on that tour. You had no idea. I just don't think people
ain't got shit on us.
We threw so many TVs out of the window.
Oh my god, could you even imagine?
We stayed at the Roadway Inn and we threw all their TVs out the window.
All three of them.
All three.
Oh my god, all three of them. Jeez. Oh my god, it's just it's so funny when people say that. Well, this was fun, guys. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the first one of these I've done in a few weeks, so this was great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was it. That was Broadcaster. Those guys are great. Really enjoyed their live set. They have some free music out there. They have a new album out on Jumpstart Records. You should go check it out. And follow me on the Twitters. Look forward to more podcasts and our whole Miserables Undercover thing starting next week. Mizzi out.